I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here in the Hub Culture Pavilion in Davos. Very pleased now to be joined by Christiana Figueres. She's the Executive Secretary of the UNFCCC. You were in charge of Cancun, so where are we now?
Well, we have, I would say we have mixed results from Cancun. I would say that, that Cancun represents a very big step for the community of nations, but a small step for the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And let me explain why I think that. On the bright side, I think governments went to Cancun, decided not to repeat the Copenhagen experience, and decided to actually reach an international agreement, which they did with enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
That international agreement basically provides for three things that are groundbreaking. The first is it represents the most ambitious, the farthest reaching collective effort to reduce emissions worldwide. So goes way beyond the ambitions of the Kyoto Protocol, both in terms of volume of emission reductions as well as in geographic participation, because now we have also developing countries participating in that effort. So that's a very important step forward. Secondly, the Cancun agreements are probably the most comprehensive package to support developing countries in addressing climate change on two sides, both on mitigation, which means the reduction of emissions, mm-hmm. and on adaptation, which is all of the measures that developing countries have to undertake in order to address their vulnerability to the changing climate. That is also groundbreaking in that countries decided to create a green climate fund. They decided to create a technology mechanism, and they decided to create an adaptation committee, all of which represent a conglomerate of support for developing countries. That is also groundbreaking. Thirdly, I would say it is probably the strongest signal that governments have given to private sector mm-hmm. as to where we're headed. So governments agreed under a UN international agreement that they will not allow the temperatures to go beyond 2 degrees centigrade in increase. What that means, translated into the quality of the economy, is that we're definitely heading for a low carbon economy, and that, of course, has implications for private sector and for investment choices that they will make. So all of that is good news, and as I say, compared to where we were before, mm-hmm. that is definitely a big step forward.
But we can't be complacent.
And it's a small step for the planet. It's mm-hmm. a very small step for the planet, because even if governments actually go ahead and implement everything that they have agreed to, the fact is, just on emission reductions, despite the fact that it is the most ambitious reduction goal that we have had up until now, that emission reduction goal that they have set for themselves only represents 60% of what we need
right.
in order to stabilize concentrations by 2020. So we're only 60% of the way there, and we need much more participation. We need to raise the ambition, and above all, we need to speed up the pace of agreements.
So what can be done between now and Durban?
Between now and Durban, I think countries have big assignment, homework assignment. On the one hand, they need to move very quickly into the implementation phase. Mm-hmm. So they will have to move very quickly into the agreements on how to design the Green Climate Fund. They will have to agree on how to design and begin to operate the Adaptation Committee, as well as the technology mechanism, which needs to be operational by next year. So all of that is sort of institution building processes that need to occur with the concurrence of all 193 governments this year. But that is not all. They also need to, at the same time, they also need to think about how are they going to raise the ambition of bringing down reductions even further from where they are, which means addressing the issue of the Kyoto Protocol. the continuation of the Kyoto Protocol is one of the issues that was successfully circumvented in Cancun, and which can no longer be circumvented and really needs to be addressed now in Durban.
So how do you think that'll be done?
Well, it's always up to governments to decide there, but what is clear is that there are certain characteristics of the Kyoto Protocol that are non-negotiable. It is non-negotiable to have a sense of predictability, a sense of clarity as to what the ultimate goal is. It is non-negotiable to have a system of compliance that will assure everyone that those who are undertaking their efforts are actually going to do that. And it is a non-negotiable that there be a sense of difference between developing countries and developed countries due to, frankly, their historical responsibility, not looking forward in the future. And those characteristics of the Kyoto Protocol, I think, are sacrosanct and need to be taken forward. How countries decide to take those aspects of the Kyoto Protocol forward is up to them to look at in Durban.
Christiana, thanks so much for coming into the Hub Pavilion to share some of your thoughts. Absolutely fascinating. We could talk all day. I'm Edie Lush, and I've been here with Christiana Figueres and here in the Hub Pavilion in Davos.